Are you talking?
I'm not talking, no.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to talk?
Yeah, start going.
Okay, I'll start going. Hello, and welcome to Well Scares Your Problem, a podcast, a podcast about spooky engineering disasters.
That's right.
With slides, which are also spooky. I'm Justin. Scary.
Are you trying to think of a ghost?
Rosniak.
Yeah.
My pronouns are boo and yikes.
I am Scary Alice Caldwell Kelly, and my pronouns are and.
Fuck, I was gonna. All right. I am Liam Anderson.
You wouldn't even go for like. Fuck! Now I'm trying to think of one.
Anderson, I don't know.
Liam Murderson.
Liam Murderson. Yeah,
yeah, that's right.
That's a hobby.
Bloody Liam. If you say your name 3 times, you appear in the mirror.
I do, but I just ask for drinks and snacks.
Yeah.
Not like Casper. I'm not a friendly ghost. Like, if you don't get me the requisite drinks and snacks, you will be murdered. But I need them, and then you don't get murdered. My pronouns are jinkies and yipes.
Ruh-roh.
I hope you're all enjoying the seasonal flavor that this podcast is taking, because it is spooky season. We are recording this on the spookiest night of the year, Halloween.
It's 12:47 p.m. here, and I haven't been murdered by apparitions, so roll tide, baby.
Is that what they're calling the Philly police these days?
Yeah.
It's an incredibly dark and windy night right here. Like, the rain is washing off of the windows. And I'm just like, yeah, no, this is fine, actually. Time to record a podcast about being scary with my scary friends.
Yes. Liam, you're a bit quiet still.
You're a bit quiet.
That was a little bit better.
You didn't say
just being mad the whole time. It'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my shtick. I just scream at people.
All right, so today we're going to talk about a special subject. We're going to cover 3 instances. We're going to talk about
ghosts.
Yes, spectral sloops, haunted hulks, paranormal penises, spooky schooners, ghoulish gondolas, scary scows, dreadful dredges, creepy canoes, yikes yachts, the boo barge. We're going to talk about ghost ships.
Incredible. Just incredible work to come up with that many. Far more than the joke demanded.
Nothing to say us for, folks.
Yeah, you gotta think for like galleon. Do you have like a ghost galleon?
A
ghastly galleon. Duh, Alice.
Yeah.
A white warship, but it's white with a W-I-G-H-T.
What's a scary word that starts with U?
Uterus.
Oh, fuck.
I wanted something for utility vessel.
Uterus utility vessel.
Hey, welcome to Big Mo's Vagina Cargo Ship LLC.
Well, that's the t-shirt design that we're doing next, if we ever get around to doing t-shirts. You can never wear it outside.
I harangued him.
Okay, so, but before we talk about this, we need to talk about the goddamn news.
I put that headline in there. Do you like it?
I do like it, yes. And it's accurate. All right, so our first piece of news. The Philly cops shot a guy 10 times in front of his mother, who had called an ambulance.
Well, that just fucking sucks all of the like seasonal revelry we were having out of the podcast.
I know, right? That's just bad. That's really bad.
Yeah, state coercion is always haunted.
It's true, yes. It's caused a bunch of riots. The National Guard's been brought into the city now. You know,
fucking
because
pukes.
someone set a cop car on fire, I guess.
Yeah, and you've got
Billy,
the like
man.
usual round of pundits being like, they trashed a Walmart. A Walmart.
Yeah, in Port Richmond, it looked like that before.
Yeah, exactly. What I like in this picture is that they're clearly burning one of these vote, make a plan signs that's popped up all around the neighborhood. They're
Good.
just everywhere.
Wait, what is it a sign for?
To vote.
To vote.
Just to vote?
Just to
It
vote,
says
Okay.
vote,
yes.
make a plan, and this
God-
one's on fire. Thank
Yeah,
God.
God forbid you say vote Democrat.
Right now it just says Vo Mappy,
Yeah, you heard
which is something the people can get behind.
So, you know, this has been a fun week. They've, you know, had a bunch of unannounced curfews, a bunch of activists got sent to jail. One of my friends said all the cops are asking everyone who's arrested about where they got their George Soros funding from.
Of course.
Yeah.
It was me, in case anyone was curious.
Police ripped a family out of their car when they were driving down Chestnut Street at the wrong time, and then they beat them up. And then the National Fraternal Order of Police Twitter posted a picture of the kid claiming someone had left them walking around barefoot while they went out to riot. It's been really dumb. This has been like worse.
Chestnut is a one-way street. They had nowhere to turn around.
Yeah,
America's
exactly.
most powerful union using that power to exercise in service of like a terrified child who they have terrified, being
Yes.
like, see, we're not your enemy. We're looking after this kid whose parents we are beating slightly off camera.
It's really dumb. You know, I thought the protests were going to calm down. That's why the last episode I didn't put the bail fund links up on the video. I was like,
Yeah,
you
don't
know,
worry,
it's probably going to die down. And then that exact night, it's like, okay, I guess we got to keep the bail fund thing going.
As a reminder, if you're listening to this, presumably from before the grave and not beyond it, donate to either Philly Bail Fund or Up Against the Law Philadelphia.
Like Philly Whale Fund, huh? No, because whaling, because of ghosts. The ghosts. It's
I don't know if
like
motherfucker,
like a white
what?
whale? Like
like whale, like WAIL.
Oh my god.
oh, that kind of whale.
Oh,
What did you say?
A whaling whaler. That's one.
yeah, that's funny. Thank you, Alice.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Oh,
So,
I got my Secret Service card from Alice in the mail. I believe the link is closed right now while she drowns under 900 laminate cards. But
Yeah, I need to send a picture.
No. It's still going. If you DM me, and ideally don't DM me any extraneous details, just like the name and image you want on it and your address. And then if you want to throw me a couple of bucks for shipping, that would be good, but you don't have to. Then I'll mail that to you. It's just usually what I'm doing these days is I'm taking a couple of days in between, and then I'm like, well, I guess the whole of today is me mailing out these individual cards. So.
I did like that I got a letter addressed to me, and because you're Scottish, you wrote the return address on the back.
Yeah, that's normal. That's a normal place to write that.
Yeah, for you, but not for me.
Well, where the fuck are you supposed to write a return address?
But you
Top
put
left,
it in the corner.
jackass.
Yeah.
And so it just said UN 75, and I thought for a second I was going to be letter bombed, but I was like, oh, it's just Alice. She's mostly harmless.
It's interesting to see like the how the police have reacted to these riots, because they seem to unironically believe, you know, the beatings will continue until morale improves.
They really do. They really fucking do. And they're just like, Roz hit on it with the unmentioned curfews. Like, we've had to sort of scramble every time because they're just like, oh, it's 6:55. You have to be home in 2 hours. Like, go fuck yourselves. And also,
all of the urgency of the purge, but like
the irony that I live in the cradle of American freedom and I can't go out my own goddamn front door is absolutely a travesty. Like, this is the shit we threw tea in the harbor over.
Yeah.
I'm just going to stand at the end of my property line, banging pots and pans and screaming ACAB until they come for me.
Wearing like a full Minuteman costume.
Yep. You see, like this, it's not just for lunatic race war weirdos anymore. Now it's for,
now it's for regular lunatic weirdos.
Exactly. Sometimes normal people like to dress up in a frock coat. Why should we seed the ground of wearing like a dress paisley waistcoat to the right wing?
That's how I feel about the Gadsden flag, the "Don't Tread on Me" flag.
Yeah, it's a good flag.
By reactionary lunatic weirdos, and I'm so mad that I have to fly the original naval jack, which also says "Don't tread on me," but it's not a curled snake. And I'm just like waiting for the day some ne'er-do-well dipshit leftist steals it from me, and I have to explain my politics to get it back.
It's just a photo of you with your Gadsden naval jack, like this you.
Yes, it's like, yes, not a reactionary right-wing dipshit. I just like flags.
All right, so guess that's it for that piece of news. Rest in power, Walter Wallace Jr.
Oh yeah. Also, don't call the fucking cops. Obviously, his mother had called an ambulance. Philly has a crisis intervention unit. Why they chose to send the cops instead to this clearly mentally ill person is absolutely beyond the fucking pale, or a whale. There you go, Alice.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
And just like, absolutely don't fucking call the cops if someone's in a mental health crisis.
Mhm.
Please look up resources in your community. They do exist. There are crisis intervention teams who aren't going to show up with their guns drawn.
And even if the situation is as bad as that, even if you still did nothing, it wouldn't be as bad.
Mhm.
Like, that's how fucked it is that you could just sit back, put both of your hands in your pocket and be like, well, that isn't my problem. I'm going to keep walking.
Yeah.
And
The show is called "Well, There's Your Problem," so you actually have to do something about it.
that's true.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
All right, can I do the news drop without
now
being...
you can, without being insensitive? Yes. Now you can do it.
All right, we got a second news item, which
Great
is
headline.
thank you. Yeah, I came up with this in like all of a second while I was uploading it.
It's good. It's good.
The Greek Navy managed to almost lose a minesweeper. This is a British-built vessel. It used to be HMS Barclay. Now it's HS Callisto, and it got in a fight with one of those giant Maersk container ships, and it just sheared the arse right off it because they're made of fiberglass. So you can see it's like lost the helipad and it's lost the whole stern. It's not good. Nobody died though. So this is like something that we can safely laugh at. And it sets us up with a nice nautical theme for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, and you know, in fairness to the Greeks, I lose Minesweeper all the time too.
Yeah, fair enough.
Just imagine being like being the captain of that and looking around, being like, and seeing a fucking like Panamax air ship just tear the entire back of your thing off.
You're good. You're good. You're good.
Stop.
Doing the like OSHA thing. How could this accident have been prevented? It's like, well, don't try and turn in front of a fucking container ship. They don't stop. They kind of can't do that.
Stop very quickly.
I'm surprised it didn't just bump it out of the way. I'm always surprised by these big ship collisions that they just don't bump into each other and just sort of, you know, float away.
I think it's because the hull's so soft, like because it's not steel, right? So it doesn't trigger mines. It just like tore straight through it. Is what
that'll
happened.
do it.
Yeah, real embarrassing though.
All right. Well, that was the goddamn news. Okay, so let's talk about our first spooky schooner, as they call it. You can see here with a lot of JPEG compression.
Yeah, well, they hadn't invented high resolution JPEGs in when was this?
This was 1921.
See, that's the thing. You had to like to get your JPEGs. A guy had to like unfold like a bellows camera, throw a sheet over his head, and then like
they actually
had to stand.
They had to do all the image compression by hand with spreadsheets.
Yeah, it took an office of 50 secretaries 10 days to compress the pixels down with like rulers and set squares.
And we shear this off, and we shear this off, and we take this dot out, and boom, No, we can send it in a telegram.
Well, I feel like we're going to get some interesting comments on this one because of when we did print media, where I asked the question about how the hell you printed images back in the day, and we got some very detailed answers from people who knew a lot about this. So, I look forward to the photography nerds.
Yes. So this is the Carol A. Deering, right? It was a 5-masted schooner built in Bath, Maine in 1919, right?
Not much. What's daring you? No? Nothing.
Nope.
Well, at least I have this guy to laugh along with me.
So it set out for Rio de Janeiro from Newport News with a load of coal in July 1920, right? With Captain William H. Merritt. Merritt fell ill really early on in the voyage, so they had to put into port at Lewes, Delaware. I don't know why they went north. That seems weird to me, but they did.
Maybe he was from Delaware. Maybe he was like, "Can you drop me off?"
Yeah, could you dump me off here? I'll take. Maybe he was from Cape May. He took the ferry over.
Wow. See ya, suckers.
So the company replaced him with Willis B. Warmel, who was a recently retired captain, right? They're like, hey, you come back for one last job.
Yeah, they land in the helicopter while he's fly fishing, and they're like, nobody else can do it. You're the only one.
I just retired. I'm going to my daughter's wedding next week. Get in the chopper, Jim.
Get in the chopper. They take him in a helicopter to get on a schooner.
Yeah, anachronisms don't really work in our timeline, but fuck it.
This is apparently one of the last large sailing cargo vessels ever built.
I mean, 5 masts. It's no joke.
Yeah, 1919 was pretty late, too. All right, so they got to Rio on September 8th, right? They unloaded, they took on new cargo, they set off for Hampton Roads, right? That's where Grover House is.
No. We set off for Hampton Roads with this cargo of mismatched windows.
Yeah. Well, the article I read didn't say what the cargo was, so I assume it was Grover House parts.
Vinyl siding, mismatched windows, the grill to put next to the vinyl siding.
On the way back up with a crew of Brazilian vinyl siding, they stopped off in Barbados, right, for some supplies, right? And while they were stopped off, the captain gave the crew shore leave, and the first mate got really, really drunk at a bar. And some folks overheard him threatening the captain in a bar. Because he was mad at the captain because he thought he was doing all the work, right?
This is such a red herring.
Anything. Yeah,
this is
every murder mystery, there's always a guy who noisily threatens the victim in the first act.
Yeah,
and you're like, come on, man, it's not him.
Probably not. Yeah, but he was he was mad at the captain because he thought he was doing all the work. He also thought the captain was interfering with him, disciplining the crew, right? And that night he got arrested for drunken disorderly, and then the captain had to go bail him out of jail, and then they got in a boat and left, right?
Yeah, but why would you murder the guy who bailed you out?
I know, right?
Because you're drunk and hell-bent on revenge, Alice.
Yeah, but by that time you're probably sobered up.
Yeah, but they're sailors. They're going to be he's drinking in the jail while he's in jail for drunken disorderly. He gets out, he's drinking.
Yeah, that's true.
He takes one look at the cargo of mismatched windows and he's like, I gotta start drinking again.
Just smashing through the plate glass. Let's see if warranty covers that.
Gonna put this at the bottom of a flight of stairs.
Put that in your helicopter, Barrett. The rest of us had to sail in, but Captain America gets a helicopter ride.
So that's our theory for whatever goes down with this ghost ship is helicopter jealousy.
Yes. He mistook one of the mismatched windows for a porthole, and he actually smashed the porthole. Although actually the ship didn't go down, of course. So This ship was next sighted on January 28th, 1921 by the Cape Lookout Lightship. That's off the coast of the North Carolina Outer Banks, right?
Spooky, lonely job. Just the two guys like from the lighthouse just in there being weird and psychosexual.
Yes.
And then they see this thing go by.
Yeah, so the lightship keeper reported that when the ship went by, a man yelled at him with a megaphone that the ship had lost its anchor.
Something about windows.
Yeah, please tell the company the ship has no anchor. Otherwise, we're good, right? But he also reported the crew was milling around on the quarterdeck where they weren't supposed to be.
Says who? Who says that's not allowed? You know, maybe they're having a nice time. Don't shame them for that.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, probably shouldn't snitch on the crew. Yeah,
yeah, that's right. No snitching, even 100 years later.
Yeah, snitches get spooky stitches. Thank you. So now on January 31st, the ship was sighted off of Cape Hatteras, right? It's another part of the North Carolina Outer Banks. After it had rammed itself directly into Diamond Shoals and grounded itself, right?
Okay.
It had some distress signals on. There were two red lights which were high up in the rigging. Those were the distress signals.
Also extremely spooky to just be coming at this thing at night and like the Outer Banks, which is spooky as hell anyway, just naturally. Fuck, man. No, thank you. I'm not getting on that ship.
I was very confused because this is a sailing ship. I don't know where the electricity was coming from.
I mean, that's a good question, actually. Maybe they had like gas lanterns, or how long does it take those to burn out?
There must have been some kind of generator on board. That's what I think. But I tried looking it up. I couldn't figure anything out about, electricity supplied to large.
We found the real
ships.
Mystery here, which is fucking how the fuck did those lamps keep going?
Yeah, exactly.
Because like if you can find out how, we can crack this thing wide open, because if we know how long those lamps would like keep burning for, we can trace when they were set up. And holy shit, this is a 5 episode series podcast where we like get to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I don't care that much.
Yeah, I don't care either. So, owing to rough seas, the ship couldn't be boarded until February 4th. And when folks got on the ship, it was abandoned, right? The crew's personal possessions were all gone. The 2 lifeboats were gone. The ship's galley was like halfway through food preparation, but with no people. So, no one knows what happened to the crew, right? They just disappeared.
And that's kind of weird because they're close to shore, right? Like they're close enough to yell at a guy on a light ship. You'd think even in heavy seas, right? If they abandon ship, they can kind of probably make their way or at least drift somewhere onto a beach. But like, nah. I
mean, they did drift onto a beach, right into Cape Hatteras, right where every ship is attracted like a magnet to Cape Hatteras. They just smash right onto the shoals, right outside the lighthouse.
The sirens at the beach bars. It's all 50-year-old Georgia moms just showing you their boobs.
This is why Blackbeard had to get out of town. Too many MILFs.
So the Coast Guard tried to salvage the ship. They tried to get another ship and pull it off the shoals. It's too big. They couldn't do it. So they blew it up with dynamite the next month.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, they blew the shit up. They blew it up with dynamite on March 4th because, it's a navigational hazard, right?
That's the highest number of ghosts that have been killed with explosives in a single incident.
Yeah, I've never understood. Like this is something for like the horror movie, sort of universe. Like where if you have a haunted house and you just blow it up with dynamite, what happens to the ghosts?
Do you think it's like an Alien sort of scenario where if you like actually do nuke the site from orbit, like it's just fine, like problem solved? Or do you think that it's like more like a Pandora's box type situation where now you have like distributed ghosts?
Second one.
Second one?
That could
it's
be.
the second one.
It could be that. I am of the opinion that you might just blow up the ghost. Like you might kill the ghost with explosives.
You would certainly like dissipate the sight of its like haunting. And like part of the thing that makes a ghost scary is that like it's haunting somewhere it has some emotional tie to, like where it was murdered or whatever. Like you can't, like that ghost can't float down the road and go haunt a Denny's, right?
Yeah, exactly. What if you like deconstructed the haunted house and reused its pieces elsewhere? Like,
The haunted house of Theseus.
this particular set of joists here is haunted.
Well, like, does that mean that like that sort of transitive property applies? If I take a timber off of the Winchester murder house, a mystery house, that timber is going to be haunted?
I think that the timber itself is haunted. If you distribute these timbers finely enough throughout a house, it's indistinguishable from not being haunted.
Welcome to the Institute for Advanced Ghost Studies.
It's like my dads used to say about pollution. Dilution is the solution to haunting.
All right, so we simply dump, like, well, because the ship did sink after it exploded, right? Like the bits of it that got exploded sank. So that, mission accomplished, right?
Yeah, exactly, right?
Ghosts sufficiently diluted.
Yeah, exactly. So after an extensive investigation, there was still no solid idea of what happened, right? There was a real strong storm in the vicinity, and at least one other large vessel, which was the sulfur freighter called the Hewitt, had gone down at the same time the ship was found abandoned, right? So there are some theories as to what might have happened, right? One of which was that, due to heavy weather, the crew abandoned the ship, possibly after they had run aground. Another thing some folks thought was, pirates. Pirates had stolen the ship, but then they realized it was just full of Grover House parts. So, they
and also they hadn't stolen the ship. Like the ship was still there.
Yeah. But there was another theory, which it was communist pirates.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So some Soviet-aligned group had their offices raided in New York City around the same time. And the police found a bunch of papers that indicated a plot to steal ships and sail them to the Soviet Union, right?
I mean, I respect them so much for doing like bullet journaling, just like doing some fun ideas, What if we pulled this shit,
Yeah. So, at the time, a lot of people thought, yeah, it must have been the communists. The communists did this, right? Which is despite the fact that ramming the ship directly into Cape Hatteras is the opposite of going to the Soviet Union.
They're taking the scenic route.
Yeah. Plus, what is Cape Hatteras if not the Kola Peninsula of North Carolina?
Yes. Then there was a theory that it was rum running, right? Because Prohibition was happening. So, some rum runners stole the ship in the Bahamas to run rum into the United States and then abandoned it, right? What?
Say rum runners 50 times real quick.
Rum runners. Yeah. They stole a schooner to do that. The slowest ship in the world.
The biggest, slowest ship possible. Yeah, of course. That's what rum runners would do. No, that's probably not right.
Also, weren't they moving all of the rum in like from Canada anyway?
Yeah.
Like, how much running do you need to be doing?
Not a whole lot. You need to swim, but.
And then, another theory, of course, it might be communist rum runners.
Oh shit! Okay, fuck. Just a hold full of Havana Club.
Yeah, exactly. Another theory was mutiny, right? So maybe since Warmel didn't like his crew and the first mate was mad at him, maybe he fucked up and he got mutinied, right? And then the crew screwed up and, just steered the ship directly into, Cape Hatteras.
Hey, we finally got rid of this guy. Donk. Awesome. Fantastic work, guys.
There's one piece of evidence from this for this theory, which is the lightship captain we mentioned earlier reported that the man who yelled at him with the megaphone did not look very much like Captain Warmel.
Oh, do you want to make a like positive identification across like a nighttime sea from a lightship?
That's what the light is for.
Did he have like a telescope though?
Like 5 minutes in, they're just like, "All right, guys, we're all ready." And mutiny.
Any percent speed run. You just toss the captain off the ship and he like swims back to Barbados because you haven't even really left yet.
Another theory, of course, is it was a mutiny, but it was a communist mutiny, right?
What I'm learning here is that communists are a kind of cryptid, the most powerful cryptid.
Yes. I believe a communist mutiny is called a revolution.
Only if it's successful. Otherwise it's called a commune.
Yeah.
Marx himself did say, a specter, a frightful hobgoblin is doing what? Haunting Europe. So
he did say that. That's right.
And it's about to mutiny against the ship of state.
Aha, yeah, it was a metaphor.
Yes.
I like this one. I think it's an attempted revolution.
I choose to believe that.
Like, mostly because that's what I want to have happened, but also I think, like, yeah, sure, why not? It's 1919, 1920. Why would everybody was doing communism back then? It was the hot new thing. It was like the Lindy Hop.
So now another idea was that the paranormal was involved, right?
Aside from communism.
Yes. So, the ship, of course, had traveled through the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh, shit. Oh, fuck.
I guess had a delayed action, which caused it several days later.
On the Bermuda Triangle. No, don't let that one get away. Get him, boys.
The Bermuda Triangle with its gaming mouse, like fucking lag.
CPI.
All right, next best thing. We'll disappear the crew and ram it straight into Cape Hatteras.
I like the cut of the Bermuda Triangle's jib, big fan.
And of course, the specters in the Bermuda Triangle got to work OT. They're not. This isn't
complaining. You have crunch to like finish this fucking ghost ship.
And of course, another theory is it's the Bermuda Communist Triangle, right?
Ah,
yeah.
It's a hammer and triangle.
Yeah, the communists did caused paranormal things to happen. So yeah, those are the theories.
I was a big fan of like attempted revolution, but now that you've mooted communist Bermuda Triangle, what else has the Bermuda Triangle sunk? Right, like mostly like American naval. Planes.
How many Soviet ships have gone down in the Bermuda Triangle? Right. Yeah, that's a good question.
There was that one Soviet submarine that did sink in it, but they could have been revisionists.
You know who sails through the Bermuda Triangle all the time and is fine? Cubans.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I think we've just discovered Fidel Castro's last super weapon.
Fidel Castro, that's the Bermuda Triangle actually protected him from CIA assassination attempts.
He had the power of like several dozen like Catalina search and rescue flying boats, like armoring him. When he went to New York and they asked him if he was wearing a bulletproof vest and he was like, I have a moral vest, what he meant was, I have the Bermuda Triangle, which is communist.
The triangle temporarily.
All your shipping lanes. No one's gonna get shit in or out, baby.
So, hasta la victoria siempre.
Yeah. Well, so no one knows what happened. Today, you can see some fragments of the ship at the Graveyard of the Atlantic Museum in Cape Hatteras.
At the what museum?
The Graveyard of the Atlantic Museum.
That's the most metal name for a museum I've ever heard.
And the museum's actually like built out of pieces of ships that wrecked on Cape Hatteras.
Very sweet. I've been there. Recommend
God,
it.
that's so cool.
So, the next boat. This is the famous one. The Mary Celeste.
Wait, that's probably ahistorical. They wouldn't have had a foghorn.
Yeah, I don't think they had a foghorn.
You just have a guy who yells, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Fog!
Fog!
So, the Mary Celeste was a brigantine, right? It's got two masts, right? Front mast, square rigged, rear mast, fore and aft rigged, right? You know, sometimes there's topsails on the rear mast, but this one did not have that. So it just
has a big flag with writing on it, but I can't read what it says.
Well, that's because they had even fewer pixels in the 1800s.
Yeah, of course.
That says haunted.
well, there's your mistake.
That signal flag up if you see a ghost.
Why are you guys advertising it?
It's like the list of like semaphore signals is like diver, quarantine, ghosts, communist ghosts.
Does that say a specter of communism is haunted? How do they have that many flags?
It's got a mile-long boom with flags strung from it.
Mary Celeste was built in 1861 in Parsboro, Nova Scotia. First named Amazon, right? 99 feet long, 25 feet 6 inches wide, and 198 gross tons, right?
Mood.
Yeah.
Me too, buddy.
On her maiden voyage, Captain Robert McClellan fell ill after the ship took on a load of timber bound for London.
He had a lot on his plate, what with having to coordinate the defense of Washington, D.C. also.
Yeah. So the ship turned around, and after they reached land, the captain died.
Okay.
Yeah.
Classic move. That's leadership.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we made it to land.
Fuck this boat, everybody on it. See ya.
Yeah.
just steps off the boat.
Croaks.
Well, God, what if it was worse? What if he was like really happy? Like, I made it home. I'm going to get well. I've made it off this cursed
So Captain John Parker took over. And the ship turns around, heads back for London, and he promptly wrecks into a fishing boat near Eastport, Maine. And then when he reached the English Channel, he crashed into a brig and sank it.
Hoist up the thing.
We're pirates, but entirely because our captain is too drunk to navigate.
I just like the idea of applying the same standards of driving that you get for like a crew cab truck to a sailing ship, and it's just like, yeah, I'll hit whoever I want. They'll be worse off than me.
So after this maiden voyage, several otherwise quiet years of service until October 1867, when she runs aground on Cape Breton Island, right?
Hey, we've been there.
And she was banged up big enough that, you know, the company just abandoned her, right? Until it was she was salvaged by Richard W. Haynes, right? So Haynes and a group of New York financiers salvage the ship. They restore it. They rename her Mary Celeste. He sails it himself for a year, and then his creditors repo it because he ran out of money.
You just come down the dock and there's a boot around the mainmast.
So his creditors sold it. She sailed for several more years. In 1872, she was refitted, lengthened to 103 feet. Now it's up to 282 gross tons, right? And the captain was a man named Benjamin Schooner Briggs.
That's seriously his fucking name.
That's his name, yeah.
Schooner was actually his middle name. Awesome. How much do you think this motherfucker dined out on that? Just be like, oh, do I know something about schooners? Well, I'd say they're almost like my middle name. And he just waggles his eyebrows at you until you punch him unconscious.
Well, his last name is also a type of boat. That's the other thing. He's got two kinds of boats in his name.
Jesus.
So
nominative determinism comes to Breton Island.
So Briggs was an experienced captain, right? And he had about a third ownership of the ship, right? The maiden voyage after the refit would bring the Mary Celeste to Genoa with a load of denatured alcohol, right? So she left New York City November 5th, 1872, after waiting a few days from scheduled departure for the weather to clear up, right? Now, 8 days later, another ship, the Dei Grata, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Dei Gratia, the grace of God.
Yeah,
it sounds about right. Left from New York following a similar route with a load of petroleum, right? Once they got past the Azores on December 4th, 1872, a helmsman reported to Captain David Morehouse that there was a ship about 6 miles distant, traveling erratically and generally going towards them, right?
Do you know how much you've been drinking tonight, sir?
It's 1/3 ownership of this boat. I'm on the ocean. What am I going to hit? I'm on the boat. I'm taking stuff anyway. I need it. That's what we do here.
They just gotta, if they're trying to pull you over at sea, they've got to get those warning lamps from the Carol Deering. They've got to hoist up like red and blue ones really fast alternately.
And up she down, and up and down, and up and down. Sir, do you know why I pulled you over? You have supplies for me. That's how we get supplies on the boat, is we ram other boats and take them. But we're not pirates. We're just drunk. That's not a crime, is it, Ossifer?
About to say, maritime law has nothing to say about this.
That's true, famously.
That sail has fringes.
This is just going into an admiralty court. Like this is an admiralty court, and they're like,
yes, it is.
Just an actual admiral, just like, yeah, sure.
Glad you understand the situation.
Like, yes, you guys know you're being court, but you guys know you're being arrested, right? I do not recognize. Yeah, that doesn't work here.
So they drew close to the ship and saw it was the Mary Celeste, apparently with no one on board. Spoopy. So the first and second mates went aboard, right? And they found the ship was mildly disheveled, but otherwise fine, right?
Another mood.
Yeah, hella mood.
No one was aboard.
I'm fine. I just look like shit.
That's why we do a podcast.
You just get on board the ship and they're like, man, clearly this guy has not been taking care of himself for like a while.
Yeah,
just like
pandemic on. What do you expect?
Fuck you. We're going back into lockdown. Eat my ass.
But no one was aboard, and the lifeboat was missing. The sails were in bad shape, but they were still serviceable, right? And the last entry in the ship's log was November 25th, 9 days earlier, right? And that listed the ship's coordinates as some 400 nautical miles from where Dei Gratia encountered the Mary Celeste, right?
Just drifting for...
Yeah.
Fuck, how long does it take a brig to fucking drift 400 miles? I guess it depends on the wind. Huh?
Apparently 9 days.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot that you actually gave me the other half of this. If a train is traveling towards Chattanooga at 50 miles an hour.
So all the evidence pointed to some kind of deliberate evacuation of the ship, right? The mates returned and reported the condition of the ship. And Captain Morehouse decided, all right, let's try and salvage this thing. We're going to bring it all the way to port. So the crew split in half, and each ship made the remainder of the trip with half of a crew, right? They made it to Gibraltar on December 12th, where the Mary Celeste was impounded, and then salvage hearings began.
Admiralty Court.
Yes. So the man in charge of this is Gibraltar.
You guys can
Gibraltar's
stop
British.
yelling about your rights. We're trying to give you stuff.
So the man in charge of this, the Attorney General of Gibraltar, which is a British possession,
oh boy,
was named.
This is going to be some absolutely like fucked vibes colonial administrator, like the kind of person who gets their career in law and then is so bad at it that London wants nothing to do with them and puts them in, I guess, Gibraltar to go do boat laws. So this, I know without you even telling me, this guy is going to be just the worst kind of dumbass imaginable.
Yes, and his name was Frederick Solly Flood.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No, it was. That wasn't his name.
That was his name, Frederick Solly Flood. He was the Attorney General of Gibraltar, and he was a very stupid man.
Do we sink him and how?
So, of course, he immediately suspects that this is foul play, right?
Oh, Jesus.
Clearly, the crew of the Dei Gratia had engaged in piracy, right? To steal the ship and its valuable cargo of denatured alcohol.
Came right back.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
That's why they brought the ship back. A thing that you do when you're doing piracy, the main thing to do is to bring the ship that you pirate back and be like, hey, what's the deal with the ship? You just found this.
Yeah, we just found
this.
You
guys believe this?
This tactic never fails.
Please ignore the skeletons dropping out of the cargo hole.
All of the best pirates did this constantly.
All right. So, he tried to produce some evidence to support his theory, right? So, like, look, there was blood on the captain's sword. It turned out to be rust.
Gibraltar.
He said, look, there are cuts on the bow of the ship, which turned out to be from manufacturing the ship. He said, look, there's blood on a handrail, which turned out not to be blood.
This guy just really turned this whole ship inside out looking for blood and inadvertently provided a lot of great evidence that there was not any blood.
Yeah.
Also, if they were pirates and they wanted to like bring the thing back, why wouldn't they clean off the blood?
Yeah, exactly, right?
You could just scrub it off.
So Flood concluded that either the crew of Dei Gratia had murdered the crew of Mary Celeste, or, and he's also willing to entertain this notion, the crew of the Mary Celeste had gotten drunk off of the denatured alcohol and then killed the captain in a drunken frenzy and then fled.
Oh, okay.
You just see this brigantine go past and it's just playing hard bass inexplicably.
Yeah.
Riley's just out there.
And then, of course, they all fled in the lifeboat, and then they immediately went blind from the methanol. Yeah.
I mean, just classic Slav shit, you know?
Yeah.
You just like, you crack open the cargo and you're just like, Suka, blять! Just as the ship's going up and down.
So there was no evidence whatsoever for either of these theories, but Frederick Solly Flood had significant
Again, not a real name.
Had muddied the waters enough that now the jury in the court, sort of suspected the crew of Dei Gratia, right? And so they awarded them, although they found them not guilty, they awarded them an absolute pittance of salvage value, like 1,700 pounds of like the 80,000 pound cargo.
Jesus, fuck that.
After retrieving the ship through an extremely dangerous and understaffed voyage.
Yeah, filled with ghosts.
Yeah.
The ghosts are just like actually trying to help you. They're just totally fuck all useless. Just like, hey, Casper, you want to run that rigger? No, I can't. I don't have hands. Dumb motherfucker.
Yeah, all I can do is like float around wistfully. I'm like, that's fuck all use on a sailing ship, man.
Grab a rope, jackass.
Can't even lift the spyglass to be a lookout. So there were several theories as to what actually happened. Of course, Sully Flood was big on the foul play idea. You know, one of the big problems with this theory, of course, is that De Gracia was a much slower ship than the Mary Celeste, so a little difficult for him to catch up and do piracy, right?
Not if they're ghost pirates.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was also one other theory, which is advanced by Arthur Conan Doyle, the author of Sherlock Holmes.
And a guy who really liked his cocaine.
A guy who really liked his cocaine, believed in fairies, and wrote a story called J. Habakkuk Jeffson's Statement, in which a sort of like Antifa anti-white fanatic tries to hijack the ship to sail it to Africa.
Oh, hell yeah.
A guy named Septimus Goring, who had like developed such a hatred of the white race that he kills all of the ship's company, save for Jeffson. This is also why people misspelled the name of the ship. Like they spell it Marie, like IE, because Conan Doyle didn't care enough to get it right. It's Mary, but like people still think it's like the Mary Celeste because of J. Habakkuk Jeffson's statement.
Yeah, so I like that theory because, you know, kill Whitey. But so another theory is that the ship encountered a water spout, right? So they found a water spout's a tornado on the ocean. You know, it sends a bunch of water up in the air, right? So they found a sounding rod on the deck, right, for measuring the amount of water in the hold, right?
A what?
A sounding rod.
Oh, that's not the thing that I think. Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
I know, Alice. Don't be gross.
I'm sorry. I don't know what the other like. It's just a measuring stick. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So if the ship encountered a water spout, the lower atmospheric pressure could cause it to appear that more water was in the hold than usual. Right, water would travel up from the bilges through the pumps, sort of into the hold. And when they found the ship, there was a little bit more water in the hold than usual, about 3.5 feet of it, which is more than should be there, but not enough to, you know, be super alarming. Like it's not going to cause the ship to sink, right? So maybe the crew evacuated because they thought there was more water in the hold than there was, and
they see it rising and they're like, oh, okay, shit, we're in the communist Bermuda Triangle over here.
Yeah. So, you know, and they all got in the boat. They left the ship. The ship didn't sink, but, you know, the ship's boat, of course, did. Oops. Another popular theory is it encountered a giant squid, which then ate the crew and the ship's boat. You know, that's yeah, you know, Kraken, you know, very, very likely, of course. You know, there's so many Kraken encounters today. I mean, it's like real common. I
mean, I will say that our podcast will always be a friend to all sea monsters.
That's true.
And so, like, if this happened, we are on the Kraken side. It was provoked. 21-foot rule. Castle Doctrine.
Yep. Castle Doctrine. Underwater Castle Doctrine.
Exactly.
Listen, the Kraken are a protected species. And
that's right.
You know, I think it's worth it to have this hazard to maritime shipping to preserve these beautiful creatures.
That's right.
Another theory involves alcohol vapor, right? So the captain and crew may have evacuated the ship after smelling some kind of like major leak of alcohol throughout the ship, right? And they evacuated because they thought, oh shit, this thing might blow up, right? So a recreation was done in 2006 for Channel 5 in the UK, right?
Oh boy.
For what would happen if like there was a big like alcohol vapor explosion on the ship, like not even just a leak. What if there was an explosion?
I'm trying to explain how trashy Channel 5 is. Like, I don't know what the equivalent would be in the US.
Is it like Spike TV?
Yeah, kind of, but it's on terrestrial TV. Like, it was the last one. It was the last channel to like come onto terrestrial TV before
CW.
People all got like Freeview and shit. And it like, oh god, it's really like low rent stuff. So
definitely the CW.
Yeah,
no, that'll do it. So
the CW did this like recreation.
Well, surprisingly, it sort of indicated that if there was an alcohol vapor explosion, it would cause a very large and very violent fire that would burn out extremely rapidly, which might not actually significantly damage the ship in any way, just because of how quickly it burns.
Right.
You ever cause like a alcohol fire by mistake?
Yeah, you ever deglaze a pan with vodka?
Yeah, I did do that, and it's a lot of fire very suddenly in my kitchen, but it also disappeared very quickly.
You burnt the microwave buttons.
Yeah, I did melt part of the microwave. Yeah, This is an experience, that I learned more about cooking through it.
Well, there's your problem test kitchen. Our spin-off.
The vodka sauce turned out really good, though.
Yes, it was
and
delicious.
It did deglaze the pan very effectively.
Oh, I bet. You have a very deglazed ship here.
Yeah. Yeah, so they deglazed the whole... They evacuated after the ship started deglazing itself. So, the Mary Celeste continued shipping cargo for another decade, but... it's kind of had a bad reputation at this point. I wouldn't
want to fucking work on it.
Yeah. In February of 1879, her new captain fell ill while aboard, and after making an emergency stop in St. Helena, that captain died as well. Okay, so now it's killed 3 captains.
Yeah, it's the ghosts in the timbers.
Yeah. In November of 1884, carrying a bunch of worthless cargo, right, but insured as though it was carrying very valuable cargo, her new captain deliberately wrecked her on a reef near Haiti, right? Then the captain tried to do insurance fraud and was immediately discovered. Just instantly. Because he sold the worthless cargo that he could salvage to the American consul.
Look, there's only like 4 or 5 people to sell it to, and so
exactly.
Sometimes you got to ask the cops if they want to buy some stolen goods.
Hey, I'm gonna commit insurance fraud with this later. Don't tell anyone.
You want some?
You're not
VCRs?
A cop, right?
Yeah. Legally, he has to tell you if he's an American diplomat.
Does that apply under maritime law, though? So,
oh god, I mean, one thing I will say though is clearly the ghosts involved here are communist ghosts, because this has a proletarian character, because the people that they kill disproportionately are the officers. So this is like ghost revolution.
Yes. So Captain Parker was tried for barratry, right? That's like the deliberate wrecking of a ship. And at the time, that was a capital offense.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, Lordy.
I think he made some kind of plea deal. He got off. He walked free.
He gave up his boss, the ghost.
Yeah. Like, oh, shit, we can't. The court's just confused. Like, how do we execute this? He's already dead. How do we execute him?
What the hell kind of plea deal could he have possibly made?
But despite this, his career was ruined, and he died a pauper about 3 months later.
Oh,
wow! So it took another captain.
Did it kill that one too?
Yeah, it killed that one too.
Fuck me. Okay, the Mary Celeste rules.
Yeah. Good boat. Good boat. All right. On to the next one. I'm
this
gonna
is my
grab another
favorite
beer.
one. This one's genuinely spooky to me. As far as I'm concerned, this is now spooky season. And I'll wait for Justin to get back before I get into it. So, Liam, how's your day going?
So my buddy lives in beautiful Mountville, Pennsylvania, where currently there's a hostage situation unfolding.
Oh boy.
Down the block.
Wow. I'm sorry they felt that they had to take hostages.
Not my buddy. My buddy is not the one taking hostages. The guy apparently barricaded himself outside. He's been sending me pictures and updates. There's a SWAT team. There's a sniper team. He called for a medical emergency and then took one of the medics hostage, which do not do that, folks.
Fucking hell, dude.
Yeah. So I'm just getting, and it's not funny, but it's sort of.
It's, you know what it reminds me of? There's something that reminds me of is the guy who tried to kidnap Princess Anne in the UK in the 70s, and I posted a screenshot of a thing from a book I was reading about this. But like in Britain in the 70s, if you had a gun, you could just do anything, like anything you wanted, because like essentially what happened was a succession, I think it was like 6 or 7 people, all of them unarmed, came up to him like, "Oi, mate, drop the shooter," and then he just shoots them. Like, I don't think he even killed any of them, but like one of them, a guy just stops his car behind and is like, "Hey, stop shooting people," and he gets shot. Like,
yeah.
What did you think was going to happen?
Brilliant negotiation tactic.
Yeah, but like you could just kind of keep going from there because like nobody could stop you until eventually you run out of bullets and get rugby tackled. So maybe that's what's going to happen with this guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit terrifying. He's in the middle of moving, and there's just a hostage situation down the block, and there's an armored truck just parked in his neighbor's driveway.
Well, at least they're not like, "Hey, can we use your like front room to set up a sniper nest or whatever?"
Yeah, Third Amendment, folks.
That's right.
I'm back. What did I miss?
Oh, we were talking about hostage situations.
Eric's neighbor took a hostage.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Hell of a day for it.
Liam was telling me that he was like, he called an ambulance also for the hostages, and then he took one of the EMTs hostage as well.
Oh my god.
I'm just like, come on. You can't just like work your way up like that until you've taken the whole fucking state hostage, and you're like,
that's the biggest location.
Yeah, give me a plane rest, or the entire state of Pennsylvania gets it.
I'm sending in more trains.
He just needs to take more and more EMTs hostage until eventually the numbers are off enough that they can tackle him.
It's spoopy season.
Very spoopy.
Yeah.
All right, Liam, this is your job.
Yeah, but it's also my favorite one, so I can like
fill in the blanks.
Sure. This is MV Joyita, which is Spanish for little jewel.
Again, not very many pixels.
Roland West, who was a Hollywood director, is built in 1931. 70-foot long ship it's a yacht built from cedar and oak. It's sold in 1936 and becomes sort of, as far as I could tell, basically pressed into service to the U.S. Navy.
Which is so funny, right? Like the U.S. Navy, like we don't think of them as being desperate enough to be like, "Hey, well, can I get some Hollywood producers like pedophile yacht, please?"
Yeah. They used it as a yard patrol boat at Pearl Harbor.
Oh, fantastic job there, guys.
Yeah. Well, this was after the attack. It's damaged in 1943 and then released in 1946. It's sold a few times, and then in 1952 to a Dr. Catherine Lumala, who's at the University of Hawaii. She leases it, it's under the command of her friend, a Dusty Miller.
Yeah, British guy.
Yeah.
Who just like
Living in Samoa.
a British guy who like went to live in Samoa and to become a charter boat captain. Very normal. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on October 3rd, 1955, she leaves Apia in what I've typed as Samau, but what could be Samoa, towards the Tokelau Islands to collect copra, which is dried coconut kernels. So it's a 270-mile journey, and she begins late because a clutch had failed, so she's leaving on one engine. There's
Okay.
16 crew and 9 passengers, including a doctor who was to do an amputation and a
Oh,
government.
that's some fucked South Pacific shit. It's like, hey, we got to cut your leg off. The doctor will be along on the next boat in like 4 months. Try not to get too much gangrene.
Try not to get too much gangrene, exactly. So she should have arrived in Tokelau on the 5th and didn't. The, I guess, harbor warden sort of said, hey, this boat was supposed to be here, and it wasn't.
Meanwhile, this guy is just like entire legs rotting off.
Yes. Don't worry about him. So they launch a search and rescue over 100,000 square miles.
Again, fuck that. Like, and people like get scared of the Atlantic. Now it's the Pacific for me. Like the South Pacific. Same with MH370. Right? You're not finding shit, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Amelia Earhart, like all of the spookiest ocean stuff is South Pacific, and it's because there is so fucking much of it, and it's just like, no, thank you, no featureless blue expanse for me.
No, thank you.
The
exactly.
Indonesians never quite got control of their communist Bermuda Triangle equivalent. Yeah, owing to the Jakarta method. This caused more of a danger for marine shipping everywhere, honestly.
Shout out to Vincent Blevins, the Jakarta method. It's very good.
So on November 10th, Gerald Douglas, who was captain of the merchant ship Tuvalu, spots Joyita 600 miles west from her scheduled route, just sort of drifting along.
Oh boy.
She's partially submerged. She's listing heavily. She's missing 4 tons of cargo and everyone aboard.
You can see the anglets out there. That's like a 30-degree list?
Yeah.
So the radio is turned to 2182 kilohertz, which is the International Marine Distress Signal.
No, creepy.
At the time, and they probably wouldn't have known this, the radio was limited to 2 miles in range because there was a break in the cable between the radio and aerial. So that had limited them to 2 miles in range.
Again, fuck. That's like the people who like claim to have heard like distress signals from Amelia Earhart, you know? Just no, fuck that. Radio horror. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So when they get there, like I said, the cable had been painted over, so the crew had missed it. The dinghy and 3 life rafts are gone. The barnacle growth showed she had been listing for quite some time. There had been damage to the superstructure, not enough to sink it, though, obviously. An auxiliary pump had been rigged but not connected, and the clocks wired into the ship's generator had stopped at 10:25, with switches for lights on.
Oh, and there's another fun detail, which is that because it was meant to carry refrigerated cargo, the holds were all lined with cork.
Yeah, that's in the notes, Alice.
Oh, is it? Where is that in the notes?
Inquiry. It would not have made sense to abandon the vessel since her cargo hold was cork lined, and therefore she was basically unsinkable, and she had empty fuel drums.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to skip ahead. Please continue.
So a pipe had failed due to corrosion, allowing water into the bilges. So that's the leak. And the first time the crew would have spotted it would have been when the water was past the engine room floorboards. So they wouldn't have known where it was coming from.
And they found a bunch of. Wait, is this in the notes? The mattresses? Are the mattresses in the notes?
The mattresses boarded up. The mattresses just piled on the other engine.
Yeah. Again.
Yeah.
Interesting. Why did you pile up mattresses on top of the engine? To stop ghosts getting out?
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Anyway, so far this is genuinely unsettling, right?
Yes. So they basically tow it, and an inquiry starts. And and they find what Alice had just said, that basically it would have been more or less unsinkable, since the cargo hold was cork lined and she had empty fuel drums for buoyancy. Uh, there's the life rafts are gone, and there was nothing the inquiry really found. The logbook, sextant, chronometer were missing. Firearms owned by the captain were missing, and Alice's favorite detail: bloody bandages and a scalpel, which had been used.
4 lengths of bloody bandages. I'd like, what? What? Was the guy trying to practice his amputation and like slipped?
Well, there's this theory. So that's sort of what we have to go on. The inquiry actually doesn't really mention the bloody bandages or scalpel.
Well, that's weird considering that they're kind of like notable details.
So there are some theories. Basically, the inquiry also finds Captain Miller sort of most responsible. The license he had to carry passengers had lapsed. There wasn't a working radio. There was only one engine working. And there's a couple theories, one of which is that Miller was injured or had died, but that doesn't account for the missing cargo. Why are they missing 4 tons of cargo?
Which, like, also wasn't particularly valuable, right? Like, it was coconut shells of all
exactly. There's a theory that Miller and his first mate, Chuck Simpson, American, hated each other and had fallen sort of off the boat. Again, we're not talking about the 4 tons of missing cargo. And one of the friends of Captain Miller said he would have never abandoned it himself. So it's totally possible, I suppose, that he had been injured rather gravely, and that's the bloody bandages. But why wouldn't you just take more bandages? Why are they just there and bloody?
Gonna be some fucking like deeply personal psychodrama going on that we don't like, we're never gonna know about, that led to whatever happened.
There's theories, piracy, the Japanese had did it. That the theory was that they had gone through Japanese sort of fishing boats, possibly whaling vessels, and the Japanese, they had seen something the Japanese didn't want them to see.
But you wouldn't kill a guy for like, and let alone an entire ship for like whaling, because everybody knew that the Japanese were still whaling until like basically now.
Even the mutiny theory doesn't make sense, because why are you still losing 4 tons of cargo? There had been a theory that
100%
that it was not a very safe ship. Chuck Simpson, knocks Miller out and takes command, and they abandoned ship. But like that doesn't account for the missing cargo.
Okay, what about like ergot poisoning? Like they all got some fucked up bread. They start seeing shit. They like take 4 tons of cargo, put it in the lifeboats for some reason because they're all fucking doped out of their mind on fungus, and then the lifeboat sinks.
I suppose that's a theory.
Mass hysteria. You have to save the coconuts.
Swamp gas. Communist Bermuda Triangle on vacation. I don't know. This is so fucking weird, man.
I figured the communist Bermuda Triangle would go to a colder climate for, a change of pace.
It's like a busman's holiday. You go on vacation from work and you end up doing the same thing anyway.
Yeah.
Yes. I hate working vacations.
It's like it's like novels where like a detective goes on vacation and then there's a murder, It's like, I just wanted to take the time off
the clock.
yeah.
There's a murder, not my problem.
Not my problem. I'm off the clock. Alice, you have anything you want to add? Got through that pretty quick.
I think like could have been the Soviets again. Could have been trying to sail it to fucking Vladivostok,
apparently,
and then just
deliver a critical load of coconuts.
I mean, genuinely though, there's so many strange details here that I have no idea. Like the thing that
is the cargo.
The thing that makes the most sense to me, right, is like there's some kind of fight or accident, and the captain gets injured. And, like he's the one who knows that the thing won't sink. and like
Right, that
he's
was my
out
theory,
of it.
too.
But then the rest of them get into the lifeboats
Panicky,
with
yeah.
him and leave. But I don't know why you would take 4 tons of cargo.
Exactly, which you presumably we wouldn't be able to even sail with.
To avoid the coconuts falling into Soviet hands, thereby allowing the Soviets to set up domestic coconut production, which was a crucial part of the 5-year plan.
Famously warm and balmy Vladivostok.
You laugh now, but Soviet ecological policy means that like by 1986, East Germany is choked with invasive coconut plants.
Balmy East Germany. There's palm trees. There's coconuts. There's girls in grass skirts. But like Bavarian grass skirts is the thing. You know?
You're gonna get some people mad at you for saying Bavaria's in East Germany.
That's a good point. Yeah, you have like Oktoberfest becomes a luau. You got a Hawaiian lederhosen.
Oh God. But like genuinely on this one, like the other two, I can kind of like piece something together. But like this one, I got no clue.
It's spooky.
Yeah, it's fucking spooky season. Maybe it was Operation Gladio.
Maybe.
Yeah, it could be.
All the conspiracy theories at once in this one specific part of the South Pacific.
In this one boat.
Just every single one of the passengers has a dark secret, but like it's a different one.
All right, well, that's all I got for that one.
All right. So those were the ghost ships, the boo barges, the yikes yachts.
The ghastly galleons,
yes. All right. So we have a section on this podcast called Safety Third. This is a fun one. This one came from an actual PE, professional engineer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
this is going to be good. I'm bracing myself.
Moving on up.
That's right.
So this is my safety third story. No one ever got hurt because of this, but it stayed stuck in my mind because it was the first time I encountered the whole human lives are worth so many Xboxes mentality in real life.
We love to see a bit come back.
Way back in 2014, when I was still a new and naive engineer fresh out of college, I was working as a construction estimator on a large, heavy construction firm in New York City, right? My job was to look over the plans of various proposed projects, figure out how much concrete, steel, rebar, and other materials the job would require, figure out how long it would take a crew to put it all together, and get the price from there, right? A big part of this job was going on site visits to actually see the location where we were supposed to work on and get a better sense of what we were up against, right? So one of the potential jobs I got tasked to look at was a project to do repairs on the Queens Midtown Tunnel. This was 2 years after Hurricane Sandy, during which the tunnel had completely flooded with seawater, and now it was in need of a whole slew of repairs to fix the damage from all that salt water. Right, so a lot of the concrete had cracked, the steel holding the ceiling in place had rusted. Most concerning of all was that the lights and electrical wiring had seriously corroded from the salt water. So the time to go walk the job before we put a bid in comes, and I make my way to this little temporary office the MTA had set up near the Queens side of the tunnel, along with people from other contractors who also planned to bid the job. They also take us through the main part of the tunnel to look over everything, and they actually closed down one of the sides of the tunnel so we could walk around and get up close to the lights, emergency catwalk, all that good stuff, right? So this is walking into the tunnel here.
Fun little like behind the scenes view.
After this, it was time to look at the ventilation ducts. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Queens Midtown Tunnel, what you'll see when you drive through are 2 square passages side by side, each with 2 lanes of roadway and separated by a fireproof wall and walkway with some doors spread throughout. So if there's a fire in one part of the tunnel, people can evacuate to the other side, right? What you can't see is that above and below you are massive ventilation passages that constantly blow in fresh air and suck out the exhaust so you don't die from carbon monoxide poisoning.
Are these the ones we talked about?
Yeah.
Are these the ones you mentioned that will just kill you if you're in them and they will like activate the thing?
I believe it was, yes.
Huh. Cool. Don't want to be in there.
However, importantly, the firewall that divides the roadway section in half for safety does not extend into the ventilation passages. That's up here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we go and look at these ventilation passages and the work that needs to be done there, right? As we were walking around in the vents, the guy from the MTA leading us around mentions that currently the fan system is set to low idle, which is why there is only a slight breeze blowing through. However, if there was any sort of accident on the roadway that tripped the fire sensors, the fans would switch onto emergency high in order to prevent the roadway section from filling with smoke. Now, the tunnel is ventilated by 46 fans, each 11 feet in diameter, and at full power, they will push 3 million cubic feet of air through the tunnel at about 120 miles per hour.
I love to be in the fucking the wind tunnel. You know, I love to find out how aerodynamic I am.
That's the fan right here, one of the fans. So, unsurprisingly, the first question asked after that was, "What about the guys working in here?" To which the MTA guys simply said, "Oh, they'd probably die."
Yeah.
Our operational risk assessment allows for some worker casualties in case of a fire. The priority is always going to be getting smoke away from the roadway, right?
I mean, I can see the logic in that, like, just from a like trolley problem perspective, if you're actually using the roads, but still, though, you don't want to be that guy, even making like New York Union rates.
Mind you, the entire reason for this project was that the wiring in the tunnel was so corroded that the tunnel was one good short circuit away from being the next Mont Blanc tunnel fire, right? So a fire in the tunnel wasn't exactly some 1 in a million freak instance. The obvious solution to mitigate this risk would have been to temporarily close the tunnel to traffic while workers were in the vents. But the MTA was determined to do this project with as little disruption of service as possible, because heaven forbid someone have to use one of the other 6 East River vehicle crossings or one of the numerous subway lines.
Of course.
But considering that it took one of the world's largest clusters of COVID-19 breaking out as a result of the subway system for the MTA to decide to suspend 24-hour service, I don't think that's accurate, by the way, and to suspend service and have some time devoted solely to cleaning and maintenance, I feel like I was probably expecting too much. Still, the fact that the MTA had apparently bothered to do the math and decided it was cheaper to risk barbecuing a couple laborers versus shutting the tunnel down for a few hours every night was pretty surprising.
Again, I can kind of see that in the sense of if you happen to be in there while there's a fire and there's like, I don't know, a couple of hundred people in the tunnel, you kind of better to, you know, just have you get atomized, but like you can close the tunnel.
Yeah,
like the dude says, you can put some cones down.
Yeah, if you got to send a bunch of people in there to start fixing stuff in the ventilation shaft, you'd figure, all right, we're gonna close the tunnel so these guys don't get turned into, you know, a pasta sauce when the when the fans turn on. But no, I guess cars are more important than human lives.
That's right.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's so cool.
Mind you, construction overall is already a pretty dangerous trade, and the underground tunnel workers are truly a cut above in terms of risk tolerance, right? A famous saying among the sandhogs, that's LIUNA Local 147. Those are the urban miners in New York City, is, you know, a man a mile, because on average for every mile of tunnel constructed in New York City, a man was killed in the process. You know, a statement that still largely holds true is, you know, one worker was killed in 2011 on the East Side Access Project, and recently completed 2nd Avenue subway had numerous incidents and injuries that could have, for all intents and purposes, killed someone, not for pure luck. Here's some blasting that was not done correctly on the 2nd Avenue subway.
It's not supposed to do that.
I mean, supposed to do that. That was in 2012.
Just thinking about like a jihad guy joining the ILW, like because like, hey, I can blow up a part of New York, but like nobody can even yell at me for it.
Well, they'll yell at you. You just can't get fired over.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
For the Queens Midtown project, at least, my company ended up not being awarded the contract to perform the work, and the contractor who did managed to complete the work without any major incidents and no recreation of the movie Daylight. That's safety third. They should just shut the tunnel down.
Just put some. But how much does like a line of cones cost?
Well, since the since there's no firewall in the upper part, you got to shut down both tubes.
Okay, so that's 4 lines of cones if you're being safe about this.
Oh yeah, I mean you gotta redirect traffic to elsewhere. Yeah, but I mean just shut the tunnel down. Why not just shut the tunnel down?
Just shut the tunnel.
Shut the tunnel down. So people don't get turned into a fine mist. You know?
I mean, like I'm sympathetic to a certain extent because like there's always going to be some of this with any kind of transport stuff. Like railway workers end up having to like hop out of the way of trains because even with speed restrictions and stuff, like you won't shut down a line just because you're having to do like trackside maintenance and stuff. So I mean, I get it. It still sucks though.
Well, apparently now they got like protected work areas that just travel around on railway wheels now. I just saw some of these a couple days ago. I was like, oh, that's a pretty good idea. I don't wonder why they don't use that in the United States.
I don't know if we have them here. Like I'm only familiar with like trackside maintenance and stuff in the UK as there's one guy on the work crew who's like the manager of safety and like gets to define where the place of safety is. Yeah. And then if you hear a train coming, you run towards that guy and hope that like he doesn't get turned into chunky marinara. So yes. Engineering is it's a good series of jobs that anyone should do.
Yep.
It's
great idea. Very safe. Very safety conscious all the time.
Just think of it this way, right? If you do die, the possibility as an engineer that you will die in a way that like no one really anticipated happening and isn't going to happen to anyone else is actually quite high. Like plenty of people die of heart disease. How many people die getting torn apart by ventilation fans?
Come back as a ghost in high vis.
So I mean that's my call to action for the professional engineer. That's why you should be an engineer if you feel minded to be, is that like, yes, you may die, but the chances that you'll die in an extremely metal and unforeseen way,
chances are pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah. Pretty good.
Can't wait to take a nap.
Our next episode is on the Tacoma Narrows Bridge disaster.
Just give you all 3 of the spooky drops there for that one.
Yes.
The spooky Tacoma Narrows Bridge disaster.
Yes. Anyone have any commercials before we go?
Do not believe local news when they're like, people are handing out drugs as candy on Halloween. To drug your children. They are not. They are not. No one is handing out their medicated Skittles to your children.
Too valuable.
That's my PSA.
Yeah.
Nobody is drugging your children. Nobody is like putting razor blades in apples or shit because like
Except for parents trying to kill their own
yes,
kid.
yes,
Yeah.
that's literally the only cases of that happening are parents who have heard those PSAs and gone, I want to kill my kid. That seems like a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
And then they get caught instantly.
Likewise, don't do insurance fraud by running your ship aground.
Yeah, don't do that.
Because you'll get tried for barratry,
Mhm.
which is a capital offense.
Yeah. It's also what they charge because time was you couldn't charge an officer with mutiny. So if junior officers mutinied, they would have to be charged with barratry instead. I'm not sure if that's still true, but certainly used to be.
We'll have to ask the sovereign citizens what they think, since they know everything about Admiralty law.
That's right.
Hopefully Franklin 12 is that soon. Everything's recorded. I got most of the footage done. It's actually going to happen. Holy shit.
Soonish.
Yeah.
Congratulations on Franklin.
Yep. The next bonus episode is going to be about the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yes.
I have a drop for that, which I used on the episode. And so I guess to play us out,
yep,
if I can get it.
Is this the dagger?
Thank you.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah. Spooky goodbye to everyone. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Boo.